The air in the hallway was old, tasting of dust and forgotten things. Ilara's footsteps were the only sound, a frantic, hollow tapping that seemed to mock the silence rather than fill it. The lights above flickered, not with the electric buzz, but with a sickly, rhythmic pulse, like a dying heartbeat. She'd been walking for what felt like hours, the same endless stretch of peeling floral wallpaper and identical dark oak doors. But the feeling had started only minutes ago, the prickle on the back of her neck, the certain, ice-water certainty that she was no longer alone. "Don't look back," a voice in her head, slick with panic, whispered. "Just keep walking." But the feeling grew. It was a pressure, a cold spot in the air that trailed her, matching her pace step for step. She could almost hear the soft rustle of fabric that wasn't there, feel a phantom breath on the nape of her neck. Her own breathing hitched, becoming shallow, painful gasps. "It's nothing. It's your imagination." She clutched the strap of her bag, her knuckles white. The final door at the end of the hall seemed to retreat further with every step she took. Then, a sound. Not a footstep. It was softer, wetter. The sound of lips parting. Ilara froze. Her entire body went rigid. The primal urge to look, to know, overrode the screaming instinct to run. It was a mistake she would feel in her bones for the rest of her life, however short that might be. She turned. The hallway behind her was empty. A wave of dizzying, nauseating relief washed over her. She let out a choked sob, a hand flying to her chest. It was all in her head. It had to be. And then her eyes, adjusting, caught a flicker in the deep shadows just beyond the furthest pool of light. It wasn't empty. Pale Lady was already there. She stood perfectly still, a tall, emaciated figure in a stained white gown. Her skin was the color of a grub, luminous and sickly. But it was her face that stopped Ilara's heart. It was a mask of tragic sorrow, with large, black tears painted down her cheeks, and a smile, a wide, rictus grin stretched taut over too many teeth. It was an expression of pure, theatrical agony. Ilara couldn't move. Couldn't scream. She could only stare into the deep, dark pits of the woman's eyes. Pale Lady took a step forward. She didn't walk so much as glide, her movements unnervingly smooth, like a phantom on a track. The distance between them evaporated. The smell of old perfume and damp earth filled Ilara's nostrils. A long, bone-white hand rose, fingers tapering to points. It reached for Ilara's face, not in a strike, but in a caress. The horror was in its tenderness. Ilara stumbled back, a whimper finally escaping her lips. She turned to flee, to run for the distant door, but her legs were leaden. She only managed a single, stumbling step before she felt a cold grip on her shoulder. It wasn't harsh, but it was absolute. It spun her around with effortless strength. Pale Lady was directly in front of her, her grotesque, weeping smile now only inches from Ilara's face. The sorrow in the painted eyes seemed to deepen, as if to say, "I'm so sorry for what I have to do." Ilara opened her mouth to scream. And Pale Lady opened hers wider. It unhinged, a black, bottomless chasm that swallowed the light and the sound in the very air. From that darkness came not a sound, but a vacuum, a silent, shrieking pull. Ilara's final breath was stolen from her lungs. The world dissolved into static and shadow. The last thing she saw was that smiling, crying face, consuming her whole. The hallway was dark again. And empty. The only sign that anyone had ever been there was the faint, lingering scent of perfume and a single, frantic footprint on the dusty floor, abruptly cut off as if its owner had simply ceased to exist. The silence was complete, and it was waiting for the next set of footsteps to follow.